Awesome. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Higher Awards Speaker Series. And during the speaker series, we get to know the stories of religious and nonprofit leaders and the amazing work of their organizations. Before beginning our conversation today, we just want to briefly introduce Higher Awards and our guest speaker's background. Higher Awards is a startup based in Silicon Valley that gives community-focused organizations the ability to provide members with a credit card branded with the organization's logo. Essentially, each time the members use the card, they support the organization financially because 2% of their daily transactions goes directly towards the organization. My name is Shri, and I'm a business intern for Higher Awards this summer.
My name is Mihir Nair, and I'm also a business intern with Higher Awards this summer. Along with Shri, will be co-hosts for this amazing conversation. Last but not least, we would love to extend a warm welcome to today's guest speaker, Mr. Paul Thiebaut. Paul is the founder of Thiebaut Method, a nonprofit organization based in the Bay Area.
Yeah, first of all, welcome, Paul. And just to start off, can you tell us a little bit more about your background, your experience serving others, and your work at Thiebaut Method?
Sure. They're all pretty much tied in since I'm going to be 40 this year. I read my first book when I was 23. It was Malcolm X's autobiography, and it was a life-changing moment for me because up until that point I didn't really have aspirations or know where I was going. I had dropped out of school. I had struggled severely in school. I had run the streets and had a lot of run-ins with a life of poverty. So when I read Malcolm X's book, I was blown away by his intrinsic motivation to change his life and how someone can become so motivated that they can change the entire way they think, the decisions they make, and the actions that they take, and go from a lost soul in prison, Malcolm was, to one of the most historical Black leaders to ever live in this country. So that was kind of where Thiebaut Method started. The work I do started in how we serve people. Fast track that to starting Thiebaut Method in 2009. The goal of the nonprofit is to connect low-income students with their passions, or what are more formally known as interests. And we work with high poverty students. So those are students that live in school systems with predominantly low-income student populations. And they are the most likely to fail, the most likely to drop out, and the most likely to repeat the cycle of poverty. Our goal at Thiebaut Method is to turn children's lives around by giving them the ability to succeed academically and in life, but through a little bit of an untraditional method, yet very well researched, which is to connect them with what they are interested in learning about. And by doing so, children's minds begin to activate, and they begin to see learning as something that is fun instead of something that is undesirable or a reflection of their low achievement. They also begin to build a lot of confidence in themselves. And finally, they begin to develop a lot of the skills that are needed in school to be academically successful. So in the last 8 years, we've served over 1,000 students. We've recruited and paired more than 1,000 volunteers with students. Our results kind of speak for themselves. Typically, a student will come into our program from kindergarten to 8th grade, 1 to 4 years behind. And it takes on average for them, 6 months to catch up almost to grade level. And it happens by us tapping into what they're passionate about, which can be dogs, tanks, cartoons, video games, wanting to be a doctor, wanting to be a DJ, wanting to start your own business. Basically anything that interests a learner, we have the curriculum to help them learn through what are called passion projects. how to pursue those interests, and at the same time, develop the skills that help them to become successful in school and feel good about themselves, which I think is as important as doing well in school, is feeling good about yourself.
Yeah, thank you for that insightful response. I think Shri and I and the entire team at Higher Words truly appreciate you coming on to speak not only about the work you're doing, but the inspiration for your own life to kind of found this, get it kickstarted in '09, and now have it, have this network of thousands of students, thousands of volunteers giving back to the students and allowing these students to develop such important skills that will truly last a lifetime, such as building their self-confidence, finding that passion project to kind of explore it further, maybe gain an outlet for creativity, or just find like a comforting pet and like an animal. There's so many different ways that passion projects truly help students grow and learn and connect with others. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And just going off of what you talked about at the very beginning, you talked about that book with Malcolm X. And how something very close to your own heart is how you were able to overcome poverty by pursuing your own passions and by reading that book. And that's why the Thiebaut Method and you yourself strive to currently provide free learning opportunities to so many children by specifically cultivating these passions through these passion projects. However, unfortunately, due to COVID-19, spending time with the children and creating their success stories has undoubtedly become more difficult with social distancing protocols and other public health regulations. So how has Thiebaut Method continued to uplift students despite COVID-19?
Well, things were going great when COVID hit in March. We this year planned on enrolling 200 students, and we're well on our way toward achieving that goal when COVID closed down the schools. It has been just a whirlwind of tsunamis and tornadoes to try to problem solve how to cope with something so widespread and so severe. Our local school system and school systems like ours have been struggling to implement distance learning. Technology issues that lower income kids have at home, preventing them from getting online in the first place, to spotty internet connections. And then when you couple that with a lot of the inability of parents to be full-time teachers at home on top of full-time caretakers, and not always having the financial resources to buy online tutoring or buy educational apps, extra educational enrichment services that children can supplement the lack of learning at school with, you end up with what we might call COVID generation. And that's a doubling of poverty over the coming 15 to 20 years as children in our school district are left permanently behind. I should say that in our school system and school systems like ours, kids are about 2 to 3 years behind by 8th grade. And up to 25% of kids end up just dropping out, and less than 12% ever make it to college. So adding COVID on top of that just puts them at risk to be permanently behind. So kind of get into your question, what do we do? Well, 3 aspects of our program model are problem solving, understanding, and improvement. And in line with our program model, what we saw COVID as is an opportunity to problem solve, to understand, and to improve our model. So we moved into a model, we've moved into an online model. And what we've done is, and are doing, is putting volunteers online with students over Zoom so that they can connect and work on passion projects despite not being able to meet in person. Our school system is distance learning through the rest of the year, and there's a high probability that it'll only move to hybrid which is part in person, part online for the rest of the school year. So we need to adapt to that. And our goal over the next 8 months is to enroll 500 Ravenswood students in our online program and build the IT infrastructure needed to start sharing our model with other school systems that are similarly affected, like Ravenswood District. And I'll just close with, when schools return, the problem probably worsens, not alleviates. You're going to have students coming back, 2-3 years behind and having a lot of different needs into school systems that are not resourced to be able to deal with that much differentiated need. It's going to take probably through the 2021 school year for lower income school systems to get back to normal. So what we have thought is 2 years ahead, and if we can put our program online and we can begin to share it with other school systems, then at the very least we can slow the learning loss, and we can give more students access to the thing that research shows gives you college and life goals to begin with, which is your interests. And this is something that we think can be a support mechanism for school systems near and far over the coming years.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think we all here appreciate you speaking so honestly about how it's so much harder to enrich the educational experience of children, especially during this this unprecedented time and with this like new COVID generation, as you mentioned, because so many students have been like left behind, like in terms of like societal obligations and like the societal norms. They've kind of been left behind and forgotten. However, it's also so inspiring to hear about how you can improve your model that centers around student learning and student empowerment, and focus where, like shift the focus to how students and volunteers can readily work together on passion projects in a virtual environment as well. And the Thiebaut method basically guides its work by 5 separate principles, and these include learning about how about things that you love more, and searching for a fit between what you love and what you're good at, as well as applying what you learn in the real world and focusing on getting better and not being right, as well as finally being who you are and not what others want you to be. Of these 5 guiding ideas, which one do you feel is more important to the work of your nonprofit, and why?
Certainly the first one. I don't know if it's chronologically ordered to be most to least important, but certainly number one, doing what you love. So our logo is a brain heart, and we chose that as a logo because we think that to live with purpose and meaning, and to also live up to your potential, you need to use both your passions and your intellect, your creativity. So, and to do so starts with loving something. So the research on pursuing interests or interest-based education is really clear at all grade levels and all socioeconomic levels, that when kids pursue their interests, they do better academically. They also have higher levels of emotional fulfillment, so they don't get as anxious as often. They enjoy the time that they spend learning more in general. And they tend to become more creative and more exploratory and more open-minded. So unfortunately, in low-income school systems, prioritizing interests is usually not near even the top 10 things that are priorities, because schools have to worry about testing scores being closed down. They have to worry about hungry children. They have to worry about safe homes. So higher poverty school systems have so much to deal with already, just with health and wellness and basic education, that passions are relegated usually to the end of the line, which never makes it to the front. We believe learning to love what you do is the most important. And to give you an example of kind of how students learn to love or discover what they love. This is that is a monster truck. It may not look like one to you, but it is a monster truck. One of our learners loves monster trucks. And so this is his second iteration, actually. He started off by making a cardboard one that you could only like put around your hip and walk with, kind of like a costume. And then we challenged him to make one that a kid can sit in. So he was watching videos, he had to get help reading, and he learned engineering and mathematics skills, and he built a monster truck that you can sit in. I won't fully sit in it because I'm not sure if it can support my weight, but he built this monster truck. And at the same time as pursuing a passion, he is learning a lot of the skills that you need to succeed in school. And not only that, he's starting to realize that he has an intense interest in building and engineering, something that he had no idea that he was motivated by or had talent at. That, by the way, that is done by a third grader. And then one more example would be a girl who just loves dogs and wants to help people. And so we introduced her to the Humane Society website for the first time. She had never heard about it. And she had to do a lot of reading and research and created a presentation about helping dogs. And now, not only has she created a presentation, but she is working with one of our volunteers to make a flyer that she can put up around the community to tell people where they can call if they find lost dogs. And again, this was something that she had no idea that she was interested in or that she had a talent for. So by far, helping children to connect with what they love would be the top principle in Thiebaut Method.
Yeah, thank you so much for literally sharing two of the passion projects. Going back to the first one, the little toy truck, even as a college student myself, I don't think I could build that. So it's honestly inspiring to hear how the students you serve are taking the initiative with the guidance and mentorship of volunteers who have experience to kind of pursue their passions and gain an interest in engineering and designing, or gain an interest in creating that helpline to help pets and animals, and work with the Humane Society. I think the work you're doing is clearly having an impact on students, and I'm sure that's exactly what you as the founder would ever, it's more than you could ever dream of happening. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And
all I ever dream of, actually.
Yeah, I mean, of course, your work is so inspiring to all of us, and thank you so much for sharing that. And I guess just going off of that, besides the two student projects you just showed us, your nonprofit organization has already provided book donations, preschool story times, home tutoring, center-based tutoring, online tutoring, and after-school programming for underserved pre-K to 8th grade students with the support of more than 1,000 volunteers. So through all of this excellent work and service, what is one particular moment or story that kind of sticks out to you among the rest?
Wow, it's hard. I'm going to sneak a quick one in and then tell you the one. So 0.1 or 0 is a 5th grader who came into our program and struggled to even have the intellectual energy to have a conversation. When we could not read, could not write, so we realized we needed to just talk to him and teach him how to talk. So we realized that he loved video games, Fortnite, and through playing Fortnite and having him talk about what he likes about it, has started to teach him how to become a better verbal communicator and translate his ideas into words. And we were really excited to see him do his first Google spreadsheet ever to make a list of the scenes from Fortnite that he liked. So that's my little one. The big one, because what a lot of people look for, like test scores and show me how you've transformed them in school. So we have those too. So we had a boy in first grade come into our program and was failing. And the school had told the parent that she needed to put him back into kindergarten because they did not have the resources to help him catch up. And the only option was to put him back into kindergarten so that he could be at grade level with his peers. The mother called us crying, not knowing what to do. And we boldly, I'll say it, we boldly told her, enroll him in Thiebaut Method and he will catch up. She trusted us. She enrolled him in our program. And the morning after his first day in our after school program, she said that for the first time all school year, he was motivated to go to school. By the end of the week, he was waking up early to make sure everyone was ready to leave for school. And the teacher said that she had noticed a change in his attitude and his participation in class. What we had discovered is that he loves drawing, and actually, I'll just show you him part of his drawing. So this is a first grader's freehand drawing. He is just freehanding, looking at what he sees, and then drawing. And not to take away from his work, but this is not even his best work. So by focusing on drawing, he began to be more excited to go into school and more willing to listen to the teachers and more willing to learn how to read books that were about drawing and read websites that were about drawing and talk about things that were about drawing. And over the course of 4 months, he caught up. And his teacher, who has been teaching for 25 years, said that she has never seen a student learn that fast. Her mom it gets better. Her mom is actually volunteers with us now, helping us. And she has discovered one of her son's gifts, which is drawing. And he has discovered something that we hope he'll pursue over the course of his life because he loves it and he's good at it. And to top it all off, he's doing well in school.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think the entire time that you were speaking, I was just smiling ear to ear. I think it's so great to see how the Thiebaut Method and your way of educating and how you choose to educate all these young people. It's such a unique way. It's like kind of like not deviating from traditional education, but kind of using everyday life and using everyday resources to educate. And I only wish that I had these amazing resources growing up. I think when you were talking about how you guys used Fortnite to educate and improve a child's verbal communication skills, as well as kind of transform their educational experience and have it be something that is greater than like sitting and writing on a piece of paper and like taking tests. So I think it's so rewarding to see an organization kind of transform how students and young people are learning today as well. And it's so great to see how the world of Thiebaut Method is truly, truly unique and so one of a kind, as well as exceptional in the way that it empowers students and allows students to like fully grow and unlock their full potential as well. And with that being said, you know, like here at Higher Words, we're all about uplifting and empowering those who have already dedicated their lives to others, such as yourself. And specifically, we're more about financially empowering with a promise of a 2% cashback. And as the Thiebaut Method sustains and grows its work for the future, what are some of the future financial challenges that you foresee, and how do you plan on overcoming these types of challenges?
I think that what we're looking to do here in the next year is to, as I said earlier, pair 500 Ravenswood students with volunteers, which, by the way, you guys should consider becoming a volunteer because you can volunteer from anywhere and we provide all the training for you. So that's one of our goals, is to pair 500 Ravens with students with volunteer, and we call you cultivators, passion cultivators, actually. And then the second is to solidify an IT platform that can create a very efficient program structure, right? So it's easy to log in, it's easy to see your classes, it's easy to report your classes, it's easy to ask for help, it's easy to see your students' information, what their passions are, past projects they've done. What we're looking to do here in the next year is to connect with Silicon Valley companies who want to provide the capital and the software and the expertise to help us build that platform so that we can build a reliable IT IT platform to support connecting volunteers with students, and also to create a stable program model so that when we share it with other school systems, they can quickly get right to the mission, which is to cultivate student passions and not have to fumble around with troubleshooting and figuring out how to make the technology work. So that's really our biggest financial goal in the next year. 6 months if you want to be a little bit more precise.
Yeah, it's great to hear about how you know, because you are the leader of Thiebaut Method, how you foresee that future growth trajectory, and you have an action plan. And you mentioned you have specifics in mind, such as the 500 student volunteer collaborations online, and then obviously being online, creating that innovative IT, digitized platform for students to actually engage. And then I think what really resonated with us here at Higher Words is that you mentioned you definitely want to connect with Silicon Valley companies who want to provide those financial resources, that capital, to kind of kickstart and provide that one-of-a-kind platform to as many people as possible. And I think we really resonate with the fact that you're trying to build the stable model, the stable model with your nonprofit, because we are entering a new era. Things may not look the same ever again. We don't ever know. We do know that student learning will be different for the foreseeable future, and it's important to build more initiatives that are sustainable. And Thiebaut Method is one of the nonprofits leading the charge with that. And we are definitely here to encourage you, empower you with our services that give that 2% cash back and that access to unrestricted funds that oftentimes a lot of nonprofits may not have at their disposal. So I think that the work that both of us are doing is honestly truly empowering. And I think we speak your language too. We speak your language of creating student leaders, building them up, allowing them to pursue their passions, and empowering them. Because the word empowering is literally in our mission. It's written everywhere on our website. Every single thing you learn about Higher Words is about empowering others, and every single thing you learn about Thiebaut Method is also about empowering and uplifting others. So thank you so much, Paul, for coming on and sharing your time with us. We truly appreciated learning more about Thiebaut Method and the amazing work you're doing to kind of build a more holistic educational experience for students who wish to pursue their passion projects with guidance, with mentorship, and with degrees of success. For now, we're just going to transition to a brief question and answer session. So if you have a question for Paul, I'll just ask that you use the hand raising button on Zoom, and then you can come on live to ask your question. So with that being said, are there any questions? Okay, so it looks like we have a question from Jacob Hipp. So Jacob, feel free to come on live and ask your question.
Hey, Paul. Incredible work. I'm sitting here in the background smiling the whole time. So, so many things I would like to actually talk with. I resonate with your story, and I won't get into that, obviously. But I was just kind of sitting here thinking about taking principles of your method to even to like the higher education. I know that put more emphasis on interest in these passion projects, like you call them. And I know that at least in college, right, people drop out in the first year because we're just always taught to get your GE, your general education stuff out of the way, and you're not doing anything that is you're passionate or interested about. So I was just thinking I'd love to see the word elective like rebranded into some of the language that you use as interests or passion projects or something. Do you ever see, I'll get to my question now, I guess. Do you ever see general education kind of taking a back seat to more of these interesting and passion projects as you see, as you call them?
Are you referring to college or to general education like K-12?
I'm really thinking more, I guess, along the college level. I know that what you guys are doing is teaching the general ed through these passion projects. I'm just wondering if that language uh, would stick, and I guess moving forward, have you seen people go through your program and then go through high school and college as well?
So no, not we are our kids are out until like 6th grade for the ones that have been with us longer. Um, we haven't seen anyone go to college, although some of them like they could be in college already. There's
Yeah.
really high level stuff. But I guess I would approach your question maybe like from two spectrums, the extreme and then not so extreme. The not so extreme would be by the time you're in college, you have a really, really good take on kind of what makes you tick. Now, it might still be kind of a feeling or an emotion, not necessarily a thought, but you know what you like. The thing I think that holds a lot of college students back is worrying that what they like will not satisfy the expectations of society, parents, peers, etc., culture in general. So one thing I think colleges could do to kind of bring passion projects in without having to revolutionize college would be to outlay at the beginning of the semester or the quarter what the learning objectives are, and then let students come up with projects that they could work on over the course of that semester or quarter that could satisfy those learning objectives. And then this would give students a little bit more control, which is one of the big components of passion and formally intrinsic motivation, is having control over your learning. So I think it would satisfy that and then give students more autonomy to make mistakes and learn through learning styles that are more natural to how they are. So some might want to present, others might want to build out. And I think that when you give a person access to the ways that they learn naturally, they do deeper learning and retain more. And the learning is more meaningful, so they're more likely to use that. So that's kind of where I would start on the less extreme side. And then on the more extreme side, I research geniuses and breakthrough innovators, people that you've heard of, people you've never heard of. Mike Kunda is one of my favorite. He is a Rocky impersonator from the movie Rocky. He has one of the most successful tour companies in Philadelphia. He brings you on the Rocky tour, and he's been impersonating Rocky since he was like 7. But never knew that it could turn into a job. Yet when I through my research, I counted like more than 50 or 60 skills he had accumulated over those years. He could have been doing Rocky tours 20 years earlier. But he's a happy, successful guy now. And most people, though, like Bill Gates or Michael Dell, a lot of those people have basically economically valuable skills between the age of 14 and 18. And part of the reason why they're already ready to enter the workforce and innovate in the workforce is from earlier ages, 4, 5, 6 years old. They found what they were passionate about, and they continually scaffolded those skills. So by the time they were 15, 16, 17 years old, they had a decade of learning under them, and were more skilled than most kids are who are taking more general education classes. So on the extreme end, I would say that, by the time you're in college, it would be a great idea to throw out the general ed requirements and to sit down with students and say, okay, what are you good at? What aren't you good at? You know, doing more strength inventories, interest inventories, and then customize courses. Now, this is not something new. Interdisciplinary degrees are really common. They're just not really popular.
Yeah.
So you can do it, but it's not a very popular route, and it does get complicated when you take into consideration all of the course requirements. But one last thing I want to throw out. I don't see a lot of it at school level, innovation or just practical skills. So no matter what you do, students should be interacting more with the real world through their learning. There needs to be more of that in college and K-12. By having a girl research the Humane Society, she's learning about things in the real world and how her learning, how it's a dynamic process, and it's not as straightforward as remembering and then taking the test, right? Or doing a project and getting a good grade on it. You run into tons of obstacles in the real world that are unforeseeable, that are vicarious, that are ambiguous. And so learning how to deal with uncertainty in the real world by actually basing learning on the real world, I think is one of the most valuable things that a student can learn in school. And so I would just say in general, college could emphasize more real world connections for the students.
I totally agree. I absolutely love your thought process here, and excellent work. Really appreciate what you're doing.
Great question.
Okay, well, thank you so much for answering that, as well as just telling us so much more about your inspiring and amazing work that you're doing at the Thiebaut Method. And once again, we would like to thank you so much for doing this, Paul, and thank you, Jake, for the insightful question. Throughout our conversation and the question and answer session that we just had, we have seen how significant the work of the Thiebaut Method has been and is currently also doing for improving the educational experience of all children through their own passions or interests. We appreciate everyone for tuning in, and you can also follow the amazing work of Paul and his nonprofit at thiebautmethod.org or on Instagram at Thiebaut Method. Finally, Higher Words is all about sharing stories and empowering communities and individuals who have been dedicating their lives to others. If you wish to learn more about Higher Words and the way that we financially empower community-focused organizations, please visit higherwords.com or follow us on social media at Higher Words. For now, we hope you are all staying well and safe, and we hope to see you soon for a future installment of the speaker series. Thank you.